assured that the ministry will collaborate with MBTE, tertiary institutions, industry, and other stakeholders to ensure effective implementation of the review curricula. He stressed that adequate sensitization, teacher training, and institutional support will be critical to achieving the objectives and reforms, advancing President Tinubu's Renew Hope agenda through skilled and productive agricultural workforce. The federal government is calling for wider investment, stronger technical capacity, and stricter safety standards as Nigeria intensifies efforts to deepen the use of compressed natural gas in the transportation sector. This was made known during a courtesy visit to the Executive Chairman Presidential Compressed Natural Gas and Electric Vehicle Initiative, PICNG, Mr. Ismail Ahmed in Abuja. The visit, led by its chairman Farouk Abdullahi, said the federal government's CNG initiative is gradually moving beyond an emergency response to become a sustainable industry. The forum, which represents a growing network of more than 300 investors and over 360 conversion centers, stressed the need to expand access to financing and increase the number of certified conversion facilities.
It's unbelievable, you know. In Kano, it's mind blowing, you know. When I think we had little couple of the queue, I think about 2 weeks ago, a week ago, you know, when we had the Ajakuta maintenance going on. You know, people are calling from Kano to say, we heard that this thing is going to come to Kano. We knew that this wasn't going to last. You know, when people see and they experience CNG, then they'll start wondering, is this thing going to last? But it is going to last. That is the reality of it. It's an alternative energy that is going to last. So we have.
Responding, the executive chairman of PCNG, Mr. Ismail Ahmed, commended the forum and other private sector investors for their contributions to the initiative. He said changing public perceptions and habits around conventional fuels will require sustained public enlightenment and technical training to particularly address misconceptions about the safety of gas cylinders.
The National CNG Forum considers PICNG and EV a strategic partner and in the development of Nigeria's CNG ecosystem. We believe that the success of the federal government CNG initiative program depends significantly on a strong, coordinated and enduring partnership between government and industry stakeholders. As a forum, we are committed to supporting the objectives of Mr. President and of course PICNGI by providing a credible platform for stakeholder engagement, facilitating constructive dialogue and bringing practical industry perspective to the table. We believe that when government and industry work together with a shared vision, we can respond more effectively to emerging challenges, identify opportunities, and create solutions that strengthen the entire CNG value chain.
Both sides reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening public-private collaboration, boosting investor confidence, and ensuring that the nationwide CNG expansion delivers cheaper, cleaner, and safer transportation options for Nigerians. The Minister of State for Defense, Dr. Bello Muhammad Matawali, has led a high-level Nigerian defense delegation on a 2-day visit to key defense industry facilities in Egypt as part of efforts to deepen bilateral defense cooperation and strengthen Nigeria's indigenous defense production capacity. The delegation, comprising officials from the Ministry of Defense, Defense Headquarters, the Armed Forces, Office of the National Security Advisor, Defense Intelligence Agency, and Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, toured the facilities of Eagle International for Defense Systems Company in Suez. Speaking during the visit, Matawale said the engagement was strategic and developmental rather than focused on immediate procurement. He said Nigeria is exploring sustainable industrial partnerships with Egypt, particularly through DICON. for the joint manufacture of selected military equipment and systems. The minister said the proposed cooperation will strengthen Nigeria's local production capacity, develop specialized technical expertise, promote local content, and facilitate the transfer of relevant defense technologies and industrial knowledge on the country. On the second day, the delegation held high-level talks with Egypt's Ministry of Military Production in Cairo, focusing areas of mutual interest, including the establishment of an ammunition production line in Nigeria through structured technical and industrial cooperation. Both sides expressed interest in advancing the proposal and concluding formal agreements to guide its implementation. Matawale said the initiative aligns with federal government's objectives of achieving greater self-reliance in critical defense production, reducing dependence on external sources, and building a resilient military industry complex. The chairman of Gwagwalada Area Council, Comrade Kasim Mohammed Ikwa, has called on farmers and herders in the area council to embrace peace and dialogue following the recent escalation of violence between the two groups. Ikwa made the call at a meeting with representatives of farming and herding communities, where he declared that enough is enough, warning that anyone found violating the law will face the consequences, regardless of status or position. The chairman expressed sadness that his first meeting with the two groups had come against backdrop of violence and loss of life, particularly around the Dobi axis, where about 8 casualties were reportedly recorded. He urged both parties to stop taking the law into their own hands and instead report grievances to the appropriate authorities. The chairman announced the constitution of a 13-member investigation committee to determine the immediate and remote causes of conflict, assess damages and loss suffered by both sides, and recommend lasting solutions to prevent further clashes. Comrade Kasim Mohammed Ikwa reiterated his administration's commitment to peace, justice and dialogue, stressing that farmers and herders are important stakeholders in the development of Gwagwalada Area Council and must find a way to coexist peacefully. And when Aso Briefing returns, FRSA deploys 2,500 personnel for Osun governorship election. Stay with us for details of this and more stories after the break. Welcome back. The Federal Road Safety Corps FRSA has deployed 2,500 personnel and 50 operational vehicles across Osun State ahead of Saturday's governorship election. The Corps spokesperson, Deputy Corps Commander Osondo O'Hare, in a statement said the deployment includes 7 heavy-duty tow trucks and 6 ambulances to support traffic management, emergency response, and the removal of road obstructions. The FRSC said it will also strictly enforce the restriction no movement order from Saturday, from Saturday, August 15, with personnel positioned at strategic locations across the state, advising motorists and transport operators to plan their journeys ahead and comply with all lawful traffic directives. It noted that its personnel will work with the police, INEC, and other security agencies to maintain safe and orderly movement before, during, and after the election, adding that vehicles designated to transport electoral materials will be inspected and certified to ensure they meet safety and roadworthiness standards. The Corps Marshal Shehu Mohammed assured deployment will be carried out with professionalism, neutrality, discipline, and respect for rights of all citizens, as the Corps urged residents and road users to cooperate with its personnel and avoid restricted routes during the election period. The Resource Center for Human Rights and Civic Education, CRISED, has called for greater recognition and preservation of the cultural heritage and indigenous knowledge of the 9 original inhabitant tribes of the FCT as Abuja continues to expand. The Executive Director of CRISED, Dr. Zikarullah, made the call at the 2026 United Nations World Indigenous Peoples Day celebration held at University of Abuja, Gwagwalada. Dr. Zikarullah said indigenous midwives play a significant role in preserving traditional knowledge, safeguarding lives, and passing cultural values from one generation to another. He announced plans for the establishment of the Abuja Original Inhabitants Heritage Center, which he said will preserve indigenous history, promote research, and provide a platform for future generations to connect with their heritage. He stressed that development must not come at the expense of cultural identity, urging stakeholders to support initiatives that promote cultural education, indigenous knowledge, and the dignity of Abuja original inhabitants. And meanwhile, the Resource Center for Human Rights and Civic Education, CRISED, has called for restraint and responsible leadership following recent religious remarks linked to the 2027 political discourse. The organization urged political and religious leaders to promote tolerance, dialogue, and equal citizenship while discouraging rhetoric that could deepen religious divisions. CRISED also appealed to Nigerians to focus on competence, accountability, and service in choosing their leaders, stressing the need to protect national unity and peaceful coexistence. The call followed comments attributed to Sheikh Sani Yahya Jingir at a recent event in Kano. CRISED described the comments capable of heightening religious tension ahead of the 2027 general election. The organization therefore urged all political and religious stakeholders to respond to such remarks with restraint and promote messages that strengthen peaceful coexistence among Nigerians of different faiths and divides. The Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, has urged officers and personnel to remain resolute and resilient in the fight against illicit drug trafficking, describing the task as generational responsibility. Marwa gave the charge in Abuja at Marwa gave the charge during the commendations and awards ceremony at the agency's national headquarters. He honored 274 personnel for outstanding performance alongside 18 best performing commands and 19 NGOs and media organizations for their contributions to the war against drug abuse advocacy WADA. The NDLEA chairman stressed that the war against illicit drug is continuous responsibility, not a campaign with an end date. According to him, sustained intelligence gathering, modern strategies, and cross-border cooperation remain essential to dismantling drug cartels, while acknowledging the vital roles of NGOs and the media in preventing addiction, supporting recovery, and exposing trafficking networks. The Nigeria-India partnership is recording more gains following President Bola Tinubu's participation in the G20 summit in Delhi in 2023, where the African Union was formally admitted as a permanent member of the G20. The development paved the way for deeper cooperation with both countries, building on their engagements through the G20 and BRICS. Speaking at a media briefing in Abuja, the Indian High Commissioner Ambassador Abhishek Singh highlighted key diplomatic engagements and achievements between the two countries, while extending an invitation to President Tinubu to the upcoming BRICS and G20 summits in September. As leading voices of the Global South, discussions focus on strengthening bilateral cooperation across various sectors, and exploring new areas of partnerships.
When I say this was indeed a historic visit, I say this because it was after a gap of several years, I think around 17 years, and it underscored the significance of our relationship as Prime Minister Modi held very extensive discussions with President Tinubu in various areas, including trade and investment, defense, energy, agriculture, health, education, technology, and security, to name a few. Both India and Nigeria support a stronger voice for the developing countries and are already cooperating on issues including the reform of global institutions and represent the growing aspirations of the global South.
The Deputy High Commissioner, Ms. Vati Karawat, also addressed concerns over counterfeit medicines, noting that India currently supplies about 40% of Nigeria's pharmaceutical imports, while Indian companies continue to invest billions of dollars in local pharmaceutical manufacturing.
Please allow me to say a word on why this story matters today and matters so directly to the friendship between our two great nations. The very achievements of the National Family Health Survey, that is expanding immunization, affordable maternal and child care, and wider financial protection in healthcare, are the same pillars on which our health partnership with Nigeria is built. It means not only affordable medicines reaching Nigerian homes, but also manufacturing medicines in Nigeria for Nigerian homes.
The Indian High Commission says stronger communication, skill development, security cooperation, and deeper bilateral engagement will help drive the growth of Global South and deliver greater gains for both countries. The Chinese government says it will support Nigeria with Chinese yuan 200 million in grants assistance to support agri development projects with the aim to boost Nigeria's economic growth and enhance bilateral engagements. Chinese Ambassador to Nigeria Yu Donghai announced this during a meeting with the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Dunoma Umar Ahmed, at the ministry in Abuja. Ambassador Yu said the grant reflects the growing strategic partnerships between both countries, noting that Nigeria-China relations have remained at the forefront of China-Africa relations for over 5 decades in response. In response, the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Dunoma Umar Ahmed, said the grant demonstrates China's commitment to Nigeria's economic and social development as it reflects the deep friendship between both countries. He assured that Nigeria will make effective use of the assistance to advance development and strengthen bilateral relations. And on that note, we've come to the end of Aso Briefing for today. Many thanks for watching. I am Princess Sabura Usman. Good afternoon.